Welcome into New Orleans Saints Now. I'm your host, Trace Gerard, and on today's show, we have some juicy news and rumors to break down. But before we get into that, I want you guys to all help me out and subscribe to the channel. If we get to 15,000 subs at the end of the offseason, our bosses said that we are going to have the greatest party on a live show of all time. You will also get Saints news, rumors, draft coverage, all sorts of fun stuff throughout the offseason. So help us out. Subscribe today if you bleed black and gold. All right, let's get started. So today, we're going to start the show off by breaking down Todd McShay's mock draft 2.0, released earlier this morning. Saints now have a first-round pick after trading Sean Payton's rights to the Denver Broncos. You're going to be picking at number 29 overall. And without further ado, the Saints have selected, bam, Keion White, defensive tackle out of Georgia Tech. Todd McShay explained why he thinks that this would be a good pick. And here's what he had to say. The Saints got back in round one with the Sean Payton trade and have a chance to land a replacement for Marcus Davenport if the veteran pass rusher departs in free agency, which seems likely given the Saints' salary cap situation. White is coming off a 7.5 sack season and just had a good week in Mobile, Alabama at the Senior Bowl. The pass rush was a strength for New Orleans last season, 48 sacks, tied for fifth across the NFL. However, Cameron Jordan is turning 34 and defensive tackle David Onyemata is scheduled to join Marcus Davenport in free agency. And so, a little bit about Keion White. He started off at Old Dominion. He's been in college for 5 years now. Transferred to Georgia Tech. And let me tell you, I watched some tape on this kid. The dude's a gamer. The dude just loves the game of football. You can tell. He's across the board. He's all over the field. He's all over every play. 54 tackles on the year for the Yellow Jackets. 7.5 sacks. 14 tackles for loss. The guy disrupts the backfield more than anything, and that is why I love it. Because when you take a look at the Saints defensive line depth chart, you can see a lot of guys are leaving in free agency. If you see the asterisk next to them, that means they're going to be free agents this upcoming offseason. So with Shy Tuttle being a guy who's leaving in free agency, I think that the Saints should go and re-sign David Onyemata. Cameron Jordan thinks the same thing. Going to break that down here shortly. But Keion White could plug in next to David Onyemata on the defensive line to help cause some traffic, cause some problems, get in the backfield, and terminate offensive drives for the opposing team. I think that Keion White is a very talented player. I want to see a little bit more from him. I'm excited to see how he tests at the combine. I think that he could definitely have his draft stock raised throughout the offseason as draft things happen through the offseason. But at the end of the day, it's not about me. It's all about you. Should the Saints draft Keion White? Be the GM, put your GM hat on for me, and let me know. Type D for draft, type P for pass. Let me know in the comment section. Just a little bit more about Keion White if you don't know whether or not you want to sign him. Here's his draft profile. His scouts grade from NFL Scouts, 86. His positional rank for defensive tackle, 3rd overall. Overall rank, 38th overall. Pretty solid value, I'd say, picking at 29th overall. There's a handful of very talented defensive linemen and defensive interior guys that can go in the draft this year. So I think that getting Keion White at 29th overall would be some good value, and I think that it would be very interesting. So next thing's next, Cam Jordan. He does what he does best, being the greatest recruiter in all of sports, in all of Louisiana. He took to social media last night, took to Twitter to try and recruit Derek Carr to the Saints. And here is what he said. There's a couple tweets. It's 3 tweets, and we're going to kind of just show you the progression of what happened. So I know I said adios to social media, but at Derek Carr, I know it may be too soon, but it's also Valentine's Day. Are you trying to swap out black and silver and fall in love with black and gold? And we all know that, gold, silver, one of them's first place, one of them's second place. Do the math. I'm just going to say that. But then he quote tweeted it with this picture of Derek Carr. We've all seen it. We all know it. We all love it. It looks great. It's dope at it. He wants Derek Carr as a Saint. He took this picture and tweeted it and then followed it up with this. And this is where every single time I talk about Cameron Jordan or I watch Cameron Jordan, I just fall in love with him that much more. Listen to what he had to say for his offseason plan and tell me if it sounds kind of familiar. Get a great veteran quarterback. Draft Hendon Hooker. bring back David Onyemata, and draft Jalen Carter somehow, the lineman out of Georgia. He's going to go top 5. It's going to be tough to get him, but this is exactly what I've been saying. If you have been subscribed, if you've been tuned into any video that we have done throughout the offseason, you know this is exactly what I've been trying to say. Despite the Saints being a suitor for Derek Carr, you still should go draft a quarterback like Hendon Hooker in the NFL draft this year so you can have somebody to develop and grow under Derek Carr. You also need defensive line help, and I think that Jalen Carter, he's the best one you're going to get in this draft. You're going to have to trade up to the top 5. Can it be done? Maybe. Probably not, but maybe. And what I'll say is, everything that Cameron Jordan has been saying, re-sign David Onyemata. We've been saying that this entire time. Cameron Jordan, thank you for tuning in to Saints Now by Chat Sports and sharing what I've been trying to say, because at this point, I don't think Mickey's going to listen to me, and I think he might have a better chance of listening to you. But also, guys, I want to tell y'all all about an awesome deal we have going on at Fanatics. Going to tell y'all a little bit more about the offseason and some plans that Cameron Jordan mentioned. But you can get geared up for next season at chatsports.com/Saints jerseys. We have any jersey, any player, any color that you want. You can get your Tyrann Mathieu, Chris Olave, Demario Davis, Cameron Jordan, Color Rush, white jersey. We don't have the throwback black one with the stripes that they wore against the Rams. That's one of my favorite jerseys. I think it's so clean. But we have all the other ones. You can get your own gear at chatsports.com/Saints jerseys. That link will be in the comment section and in the description of today's video. Go get yourself geared up for the next season. All right, so to discuss what Cameron Jordan had to say, David Onyemata, he's a guy I definitely want to see the Saints bring back in free agency. Towards the second half of the season, I think he did a lot of really good things and showed a lot of, not growth, but showed that he can be somebody that the Saints defensive front can rely on. With 43 tackles, 5 sacks, 5 tackles for loss, David Onyemata tore it up on the defensive line. And Jalen Carter, we were talking about him just a minute ago. 25 tackles, 3 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 3 pass breakups. I mean, I don't know what to say. The guy is just an animal. 6'3", 300 pounds out of Florida. The guy just, he's good at football. He's really good at football. The Saints are going to have to try and trade up if you want to go and draft Jalen Carter. I'm not saying it can't be done. I very much so doubt that that'll happen. But I would love to see the Saints bring in a talented defensive lineman like Siaki Ika, Brian Breesy, the guy at a Pitt. The name's skipping me, but there's a guy at a Pitt that I really like as well. And I think that these are all options that the Saints should explore. But I want you to let me know, what move do you think the Saints need to make this offseason? Like, what move do you want to see them make? And it can be anything. Draft a quarterback, sign Saquon Barkley, trade for DeAndre Hopkins. I don't care. It can be whatever you want it to be. Let me know in the comment section, what move do you want the Saints to make this offseason? All right, and to round out today's show, it has begun. The front office for the New Orleans Saints has begun to restructure their contracts for some of their players, and the most notable one was Marcus May. I think this is setting them up to make some more moves in order to make a bigger, move, like signing a Derek Carr, like going and shopping in free agency to be able to bring in some talented players. This coming in from Field Yates earlier this morning. The question to getting under the cap has begun. The Saints have converted $6 million of safety Marcus May's 2023 compensation into a signing bonus, creating $4.856 million in cap space per source. And part of this is because he's going to face a little bit of suspension. He's going to get paid either way. Like, all of this is like good news for the Saints. It opens up about $5 million of cap space. So this puts the Saints about $55 million over the cap. Things can still be done. A lot of things can happen. And I think that the Saints are gearing up to make some moves. And I expect the Saints to be making a lot of these cap maneuvering moves in the coming days and over the next few days and possibly next week, because I know the longer Derek Carr is out on the free agent market, the more meetings he's going to have, the more likely it's going to be that he can talk to other teams. He can, talk about contracts, talk about getting paid a little extra. And these are just things that the Saints, if they're serious about getting Derek Carr, need to address as soon as possible. That way they can make it happen. I expect some cap maneuvering moves to be made over the next few days. But I want you guys to drop a like on today's video if you're excited for this Saints offseason. It's already been crazy. It's already been a hell of an offseason with the Sean Payton trade, Derek Carr rumors. There's a hell of a lot more that's going to happen. Is Michael Thomas going to stay? Are the Saints going to bring back Jameis Winston? It's going to get crazy. So be sure to like this video if you're excited for all of the offseason buzz. And also, stay connected, stay up to date. If you don't want to get your updates from here, you can also find me on Twitter and Instagram at TraceGerard48. I'm posting about the Saints every single day. Love chopping it up with you guys. And like I said, if you like getting your videos on YouTube, but you want more immediate updates, I'm always posting on my Twitter and my IG. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Who Dat Nation, y'all stay golden. I'll catch you next time.